Hey guys, I hope this video, finds you wherever you are well. I just thought I'd do another video because the Game of Thrones one, actually, I got quite a lot of positive feedback. So just to throw things right off the bat, obviously I'll get certain announcements out of the way, so just in case, if that's all you're watching this for, fair enough, I'll get the announcement out of the way, then get to the topic and answer. If you want to just get the announcements and then go, it's entirely up to you. Basically, I asked all my viewers in my last video what books you would like me to read out. So little suggestions, whether it be in the comment section or whether it be on Messenger. And I got quite a substantial amount of requests from a book called House of Night. Now, to be honest with you, I've never heard of it, but I know my nearest and dearest friends, quite a few of them actually, has suggested it and requested it. So basically, yeah, that it will be a book I intend to start reading out in the up and coming few weeks. I'll let you know the details. Obviously, I've got to purchase the book somewhere and blah, 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 blah. However, that being said, as of this week, I am probably going to be starting on Friday, I want to say, maybe even Wednesday, depending on what goes on for me this week. I will start reading out the Ice and Fire books. Obviously starting with the first novel. It's the first novel, that is Game of Thrones. That's the name of the first book, as well as the show in the Ice and Fire saga franchise. I won't say trilogy, anthology, whatever is the correct terminology for it. Also, I wanted, even though I did on my last video, I watched the quality of the last video I uploaded, and it was, to be honest with you, the lighting made the content pretty terrible. And I gave a shout out, and I rewatched that video, and I mispronounced the channel's name of the person's YouTube channel I gave a shout out to, and that is Campfire Stories Lancashire. The guy who runs that channel is a very dear friend of mine. He's, as I'm recording this, he's recently uploaded some great content as well. So if you're interested in, what you can do if you're ever camping out in the woods, that is definitely the channel for you. And to be honest with you, I don't want to give people a sob story, but, if you can't get things off your chest on your own YouTube channel, when can you? I'm not going to lie to people. I know I've had brief conversations with my colleague Koala, because we constantly have been talking to each other. I was just thinking in my head then, I haven't spoken to him in a couple of days. I'll need to give him a ring, actually. I'll probably do that tonight. But we have, though, in the past month or so, we've been constantly keeping in contact with each other, because lockdown obviously prohibited us from actually seeing each other face to face. And I'm going to be honest with you, I've really been struggling mentally this past month or so. And sorry if you can hear a noise, it's just Facebook letting me know people are commented on my stuff, and yeah. But no, I've really struggled this during the second lockdown, as in really. I think, I don't want to use the term feeling imprisoned, but it's just that there's no better terminology for it. I suppose it's no one's fault, but when you feel trapped, and I shouldn't whinge too much, because I'm still, going out for certain things and whatnot. So I know it could be worse, and we are effectively, as I record this video, out of lockdown, but I really struggled. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is, watching YouTube does help. It's a strong coping mechanism for me. And channels such as Campfire Stories Lancashire, got it right this time. It really did. It really helped me. It made me forget about my own problems, and I think that's what that is the great thing about YouTube as a whole. I think when you find your own content, what you're into, no matter how bad your day is getting, you can switch off, watch a 5-10 minute clip, and it does help. It really does help. So those are my main announcements. And for those that have only just come to watch that, obviously feel free to go whenever you want. But let's get to the topic at hand. Now, ooh, big topic. Now, for those who may be aware of me, well, I know if you do know me on a personal basis, you know what I like, etc., etc. And you know one TV show that I've always loved, since I was young, is Doctor Who. I've always been a fan of it. I think since I was 10, maybe 11. So, you know, I'm 27 now, so it's a long time. And, you know, for those who I know watches our podcast week in, week out, or was watching our podcast week in, week out, will know, you know, I made the occasional snide comment about Stephen Moffat. And for those who don't know who that man is, we're probably wondering, you know, who the hell is this guy? Basically, what I wanted to do on this video is try, not sit here, rant about Stephen Moffat and tell people why I think he was shit, why I think he was a shit showrunner, blah, 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 blah. I think what compelled a lot of people to watch my Game of Thrones last video, or the one before rather, and I think got such good feedback, was the way I presented the structure of that video. And I'm going to be doing something very similar on this one, and that's trying to present a balanced argument. So again, I've got my notes. There's not that many. Basically how I've worded it is I've put defense, so obviously to back arguments that people might present in the comment section that would, you know, sort of defend Stephen Moffat. Again, I'm not just going out my way just to attack the guy. I think he's a great writer. I think he's a brilliant writer, in fact, and I do think he was a good showrunner. However, that being said, I personally think his vision of what the show was just something I didn't enjoy, and I know a lot of people did. But what I find really interesting, without, you know, going too much out of topic, is, you know, I'm observing. I've seen a lot online. You know, basically the fan base's relationship with the show now, as of 2020, and it's really interesting to me because a lot of the points that a lot of people, like, I'm friends with a lot of Doctor Who fans. And it's really ironic, actually. One of the last notes I put is sheer irony. And what I'm basically trying to get at there, a lot of the arguments they presented as why they don't like Doctor Who now since Chris Chibnall's tenure of running the show, they were very similar to the arguments I presented as of when Stephen Moffat was running the show. And it's really bizarre because in terms of the fan base's relationships to the show, they're having, from the ones that are very vocal anyway, from the ones I've heard, it is a very similar relationship to the one I had with the show when Moffat was running things. And I don't know, I mean, I suppose that's all I've got to say on that aspect, but it's just really weird that I'm personally enjoying Chibnall's show at the moment. You know, I know there was a big hoorah about Jodie Whittaker becoming the Doctor because of agenda. I'm not even going down that road because, with all due respect, I think ever since that decision of casting a female Doctor, I personally really enjoy Jodie Whittaker. I think she's a great Doctor, in my honest opinion, but it is divided the fan base to the point of toxicity, if I pronounce that word right. And it's sad that the fan base has been so divided. I mean, like I said, I've been a fan of the show for, come on, Dancing Bird, do your maths, 15 years, I think. I think even then I miscounted. But it will be around 15 years. I think I said 50 then, but 15 years. So let's get to the defence of, you know, why I didn't appreciate Moffat's vision of Doctor Who, i.e. backing Stephen Moffat. Now, I will present this point to the point of maybe the problem is just me. Maybe it's something that I personally don't enjoy in terms of the actual quality of the man. Was the actual quality of the show falling, or was it just my personal preference? And I will highlight that argument. Also, I've put at the time that when, for those who don't know, like, what people mean when they say Moffat era, Russell T Davies era, or the Chris Chibnall era, as it's been coined, that we're kind of living in now for those Doctor Who fans. What the Stephen Moffat era is, it's around the time when David Tennant left. So the episode straight after David Tennant left, which obviously Matt Smith took the role as the Doctor. He took over. That would be the first episode of the Stephen Moffat era, because during Tennant's departure, showrunner Russell T Davies, who I do mention quite frequently in the podcast, I know I do, he also left at the same time. Now, I did a lot of research as well, and I didn't know this. Now, I don't know if this was common knowledge as of when it actually happened, but it only come to light for me past few years, is that the BBC, believe it or not, was seriously considering axing the show after David Tennant left. And I was really surprised, because when David Tennant was portraying the Doctor in the show, they was enjoying ratings that was so high. David Tennant was such a popular Doctor, you know, they was enjoying ratings they hadn't had during the new run, as it were. Since they have, I think I actually did the statistics. I should have really wrote them down, I suppose. But I think it was when David Tennant was the Doctor, they wasn't enjoying such high ratings since the 70s. So, as you can imagine, I was actually quite gobsmacked as to why the BBC would consider axing such a popular show. However, what I'm about to say to you now, I have read. The BBC argued as much. Whether or not you want to believe what they say is entirely up to you. But the BBC argument was, and I quote, because of David Tennant's such popularity, it would be hard to imagine whoever took the mantle could do such a good job. Now, that was a direct quote from somebody who was at the BBC. I didn't catch the name, but basically what I researched, it was a column. It was a very old column. I think this was about nearly 10 years ago. Which makes sense, because that was when David Tennant was leaving the show. And the argument is that what I've got from that, because the show became so popular under Russell T Davies' run during David Tennant, and, you know, when Christopher Eccleston rebooted the show with his portrayal of the Doctor Who became so popular. But when Russell T Davies wanted to leave, wanted to move on to other things, again, like I said on the Game of Thrones video, when you're when you have a creative mind and you like to create stories, it's only fair and it only makes sense that after a while you start to get the itch, as it were. You want to move on to other projects. And that's pretty much what Russell T Davies did in 2009, 2010 time. I think it was actually 2009. So I think the BBC was very reluctant for anyone else to take over. So they very nearly axed the show entirely. So when Stephen Moffat took over, I think there was a big pressure of completely refreshing the image, completely refreshing the structure of the show, and completely refreshing the image. I think I just said image twice. The presentation, we'll go for that. And I can understand that. And I'm going on to what I've worded as my prosecution now. What I didn't enjoy about Stephen Moffat's vision of the show wasn't because it was a new look. I'm not one of these traditional Doctor Who fans, rather, that thinks A should stay with A and B should stay with B. And what I mean by that is never change the status quo, blah, blah. I'm not one of them fans. Otherwise, I'd probably be getting on my soapbox. The Doctor's a man. Rah, rah, rah. I'm not one of these people. I think, the correct terminology is either purist or traditionalist. I'm not. I'm genuinely not. And I remember at the time people were saying behind the scenes, I think when David Tennant left, I was only 16. And I remember specifically people saying this is going to have a completely new look. I was excited. I genuinely was. But what I didn't appreciate, what I struggled, I think, mostly with the show was yes, it changed, but to a point where continuity was thrown out. It was a case of everything that had been said about the show, about the characters, about the context within the show had been thrown out of the window. Forget everything. Basically, forget everything you've seen. This is something new. I understand why people do that. However, I remember at the time feeling a bit alienated because it basically, and I know I might be in the minority, but I'm definitely not the only one who felt that way, because I had a very good friend of mine, and a couple of years ago we were just, talking about random things, having a beer, and I know to use his terminology, to quote him, I won't mention his name, he might not appreciate it. I liked Doctor Who, and I noticed a lot of people was doing that. I liked Doctor Who as past tense. And I would say, oh, how come you stopped watching it? And people would say, oh, I grew out of it. And, okay, fair enough. That can be kind of, people can stop enjoying things after a certain time. I've done that God knows how many times, unfortunately. I just go through phases, so I can understand that. But then I would ask him, why? What made you feel like you grew out of Doctor Who? Because there is a huge misconception that Doctor Who it's made for a younger audience. It isn't. It's a family show. I think it's one of them rare breeds of programme that has a bit of everything for everybody if you give Doctor Who that time. If you pay enough attention, I guarantee you there is something in a show, as long as it is, that you would probably enjoy. And anyway, I'm going slightly on a tangent here, I do apologise, but going back to my main point. So yeah, I would say, what put you off Doctor Who? What made you stop enjoying it when David Tennant left? And it would be a common thing people would be saying. I would try and watch a few episodes without Matt Smith, but I just couldn't get into it. And that is my point precisely. I think a lot of the fans, because the short format of the show became so different to a point of aggression, that people felt alienated. This wasn't their show anymore. And, I try to assure people, I think I've even presented this argument on my podcast, that, I'm not naive. I might look the part of stupid, but I promise you I'm not. I realised that since David Tennant's left, so you got to think, 10 years ago, TV has changed so much. And I think a show, as long as Doctor Who's been running, I think it's vital that a show of that stature, for lack of a better word, has to keep moving with the times. You have to do that, because if you don't, people are just going to stop watching you. And I'm aware of that. In fact, if anything, I accept that. So I think, to be honest with you, yeah, I'm looking at my notes. I've pretty much said everything I've needed to say, so they're not going to help me anymore. But I think that's the main point I wanted to bring up as well. I think I made a case of maybe the problem just lies with me, because I will stress again that I know there's a lot of Doctor Who fans out there that love Stephen Moffat. I might not enjoy his vision of Doctor Who, but I definitely enjoy his other works. I particularly enjoyed Sherlock. Now, I know a lot of people who'll be watching this would have watched Sherlock, and you will agree with me that, it was a brilliant show to adapt a character in to adapt a Victorian character detective like Sherlock to adapt him into a 21st century setting is intelligent. And for anyone out there to say Stephen Moffat isn't intelligent, you're wrong, or to be quite frank with you, don't know what you're talking about, because I might not appreciate, or, well, I don't want to use the term appreciate, I might not enjoy his works, but I still appreciate the man for who he was. I still appreciate the person and acknowledge the fact that Stephen Moffat is an incredibly intelligent man. Otherwise, he wouldn't be where he is now. Ignoring, not even acknowledging the statistics alone. But personally, it's just not for me. I know I'm not the only one. I know a lot of people felt alienated because of such a aggressive change of structure to the show. And I know people will think, for Christ's sake, Dancing Bear, it's a TV show. Will you get over yourself? And you know what? To a certain point, they might be right, but shut up. I like what I like. But no, I think TV, without going too much into my life story, you know, various TV programs. I actually joke, because one of my friends who I was messaging online actually said, you know, you're quite diverse in your TV shows, and I am. When I was younger, it provided a great form of escape for me. You know, when I was a teen, because like I previously stated, when I got into Doctor Who, I was very, very young. I was about 10, 11. I didn't have a lot of confidence then. And I think at the time, you know, I was very caved in. I wasn't, you know, outgoing. And I know a lot of people watching this will be like, eh? Because a lot of people who know me on a personal basis know me to be very outspoken, very loud, very talkative, very friendly. I wasn't always like this. You know, it wasn't, I didn't become like this overnight. It was a gradual process, but I was, believe it or not, as I know I come across very confident on these videos, I'm very loud. You know, I apologise to those that wear earphones, but I'm actually very shy. I'm very, I'm probably the most introverted extrovert you'll ever come across, if you can understand what I mean by that. Hope you enjoyed this video. Like always, stay safe. If you like any of the content this channel provides, please like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. I have been Dancing Bear, your ever faithful servant. Stay safe, keep the peace. And it won't stop. Still won't stop.